welcome to the Cryptonaut podcast. My name is Mark Storrs, and I'm joined by Mr. Christopher Carnacelli.
Hey.
Robert Thomas Morphy II, thank you for being with us.
Fucking present.
Thank you also, Christopher.
You're welcome.
I didn't thank you the last time.
No,
I know.
it was an issue.
It was a thing.
It was.
We worked through it.
We did.
Special guest, Christopher Carnacelli.
Special guest.
Wow.
Special guest, Christopher Carnacelli.
So I always like seeing that credit at the end of like an early 80s TV show. You're like, oh, what makes Mel Ferrer such a special guest or
I know.
whoever? It's so special.
Right.
Because if it was not for Chris, this motherfucker podcast would not be put out.
That's fair.
So there it is. Thank you, Christopher. Oh, Robert, speaking of thanks, transition time there, boys.
Wow, that's so smooth and delicate.
Patreon is a thing that we offer. Let's thank some good folks who have supported us this month on the old Patrons.
Sugar Sip Woodlouse, one word.
Fucking cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I
You know,
like it.
Woodlouse, that makes me uncomfortable, I'll be honest. Sugar Sip, that just seems like a lovely thing. Like Miss Sugar Sip just showed up at the post office and she was so dainty and so polite.
Yeah, it's definitely like either like a good goblin or some sort of like fairy type.
Yeah,
name.
definitely.
I like
Good
it.
goblin. It's a good goblin.
Alexander TF.
I believe we were just speaking with Alexander on the Discord during the campfire. So thank you, Alexander.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Rye Hauber.
Hell yeah, Rye.
Tyler motherfucking Robbins.
Shit, he's back. Here we go. I love it.
Goblin Hall.
I was just speaking with Goblin Hall on Twitter. It's great when you can make a connection to people.
I love it.
I love it.
Oh my God, it's so elastic and wonderful.
There it is.
Lieutenant Lollipop.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
sounds cool, but it's probably a hard-ass lieutenant. Like, you get your ass down to that crime scene and you find that murderer.
Right on.
Lieutenant Lollipop.
Wow.
What?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Tackleberry?
I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
It could be
was Tackleberry.
Kojak-like. He was a lieutenant, and he was always getting down on the lollipops in order to facilitate his quitting
Let's
smoking.
just stay with Tackleberry.
Okay. What's wrong with Kojak? Telly fucking Savalas.
Tackleberry, dude.
All right, fine, Tackle. You guys win, as always.
Listen.
Fine. Special guest star Chris gets the Tackleberry.
All right, special guest Rob
Yeah.
Morphy, calm down.
You can be special guest next week and then we'll get your names.
Oh, my God. Thank you. Cole Myers.
Thank you, Cole.
Frankie, I almost said. Frank Earl, I think. Earl? I'm going to go with Earl.
Thank
Frank
you.
Earl.
Thank you, Frank.
Alicia and GSD.Ozzy.
Yeah, dude. Thank you both so very much.
No doubt. James Robertson.
Hell yeah, James.
Josh Kinzel.
Nice, Josh.
Ending it up with Logan Tar.
Shit, hell yeah, Logan. Thank
Logan
you all so
Tar.
very much.
I know.
Logan Tar.
Logan's Tarry Run
That is
Tar.
definitely some barbarian futuristic.
Yeah, no, it's like yours, best friend, Hunter of the Future. Logan Tar comes out.
Nice.
He's also from the future past of the future where he fights robots and dinosaurs with a mighty sword.
Yeah.
And perhaps a club. I would prefer a Morning Star.
Probably a laser club.
Oh, yeah.
Or like a,
like
a,
Thundar-esque almost.
Yeah, it has to be future and past.
That makes sense. Yeah, it has to be anachronistic, but still has
It's
that edge.
fire, but made of lasers. I don't know what I'm even seeing in my head.
No,
but
I'm watching both of the gears and both of your heads just turning, and it's just like 13-year-olds. Like, yeah, there's gonna be lasers and there's gonna be fire.
dude, future
my God.
barbarian stuff
And
is
I
like
love
some
it.
of the best shit.
We would have designed
Ever.
all the best
totally.
He-Men had we hung out when we were young.
Dude, see?
And even though we lived like 7 houses away from each other, we just never met until high school.
I didn't know anyone that left on Prime.
Yeah.
Just everyone.
I know. I was down in the depths.
You were.
The dungeon of pride.
Nice.
But anyway, thank you everyone who helps us out with Patreon. Thank you for your support. Thank you everyone who listens to us, period. I get it. I've always been poor, so just being there and supporting and sending good reviews and sweet tidings is great, but those who can and do support us on Patreon, it really is invaluable, so thank you.
And be sure to check that out, patreon.com/Cryptonaut podcast. The link for that is always in the description of this podcast. In case you're like, how do I get there? I need a link. I don't want to type it in. Go to the description. Boom. There you go.
Nobody wants to type.
No.
We ain't got time for that
Typing
shit.
fucking sucks. It's for the
Good
birds,
Lord.
dude.
I mean, I love it when I'm writing. I mean, that's the best way to write for me. I finally am able to type fast enough that it goes with my head. I used to have to write everything longhand back when I was a youth, as it were, back in the 90s when I was a kid and started to write. Everything had to be longhand transferred, which helped because it was like a form of proofreading.
Right.
But now, man, I just get in front of that keyboard. I get all excited, crack my knuckles, just go, yeah. Time to type, bitches.
Super loud clicky clack.
I do have a super clack because I got it from my nephew, a hand-me-down on his gaming computer, so it glows green and fucking weird neon colors and makes a weird unintentional artificial clack sound.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. I used to type on a typewriter.
There you go. Fucking
Yeah,
bringing it back.
yeah, for sure.
Oh shit, classic. I'm gonna say this is classic.
It really
This
is.
really is. This
legendary.
episode is going to go down as one of the, because we are covering one of the classics. This week we are talking about the Old Saybrook Blockheads and the Macerata Melonheads.
Lesser known,
but
not directly involved.
No.
But in the same basic category. Heads.
dude,
Heads.
Yeah.
Shape and head.
Yeah, no, Chris called it. It is a day of cabezas. And I love that.
Okay.
And so I'm very happy to be here with you guys doing this.
let's get started with the annals of extraterrestrial interactions are littered with close encounters with seemingly inexplicable entities whose forms are as myriad as massive brains, multi-limb space specters, colossal cyclopean crustaceans, and metallic asparagus stalks. But there's a special breed of crazy cranium-ed cosmic critters that also seem to delight in dismaying simple Earth folk. These are informally known as the Blockheads.
Indeed they are.
Oh, there it is.
We are such simple Earth folk. We are so easily dismayed.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, if there's one thing about us that I think is known throughout the galaxy, they're easily dismayed. These people get the vapors like that
Dude.
all the time. We have no constitution for this shit.
Yeah, no, I know.
Well, let's get started.
Our first case hails from Italy during the notoriously antidromic alien-dense era of the mid-1950s. The incident took place not far from the east coast of north-central Italy. So just imagine like the bulge of the calf on the boot. Like
Okay. Yep.
near there, but not quite on the ocean.
Cool.
In a meadow near Mount Skagaggia, I keep wanting to call it Skaggia, in the picturesque province of Macerata. On the chilly afternoon of October 25th, 1954, two 12-year-old boys, Marziano Giampieri and Pacifico Tantucci, often written as Santucci, but the two Italian references I got said Tantucci, from the nearby village of Colsorasa, left school, gathered their small flock of sheep, and accompanied by their dog Fido, so cute, made their way toward the mountainous slopes to graze the animals. Not long before 5 p.m., the boys were struck with hunger pangs and made their way home for a dinner break. Now, this is fucking hardcore. When I was 12, I could barely get home, grab a granola bar, and watch fucking Scooby-Doo, much less take a fucking herd of sheep to the mountains, graze them,
Dude.
take a lunch break, come back.
It's the 50s, man. It's the 50s. Shit was different.
They're hardcore.
I mean, come on now, pack some cheese.
Dude,
It's true.
fucking Italy.
Some hard cheese.
Dude,
Fucking
some
cheese
ravioli.
and bread.
Some
You're
ravioli.
in one of the best cheese and bread countries
Yeah.
ever.
The best.
Fucking-
I mean, I know it sounds. I mean, I love naan.
Well, just between that
I love
and
a lot of-
France, and I mean, they all make some very good stuff.
Yeah.
Just bring
It
some
is
parm.
one of the best.
Bring some parm.
Could be the
fucking
best, though.
shred it.
One of those like tomato and olive oil type concoctions. You
Oh,
put it in a
yeah.
little, I don't know, a little, I guess glass bowl. I don't know.
Tomato
what
and
you have
olive
in the
oil, yeah.
1950s.
I don't know.
Oh, it's too much. All right.
All right.
Okay. Upon returning to the mountain, sandwiches in hand, the boys were surprised to find that their usually inert sheep had migrated a little ways away from where they had left them. Stranger still, the pup they had left to protect the flock was barking furiously. Marziano simply assumed that it was Fido attempting to corral the errant sheep, but it was something altogether weirder that had gotten the dog's dander up. It was Marziano who first noticed what he believed were three dark, quote-unquote, animals, awkwardly scurrying through the tall grass less than 30 feet away. He called Pacifico's attention to the motion, and the two boys, as any curious 12-year-olds might, began to tear after the unidentified animals. It was the breathless Marziano who caught up to them first, but he was immediately puzzled by the sight before him. Instead of the furry quadrupedal critters he'd expected, he was confronted by a trio of bipedal humanoids who stood less than 2 feet tall and were making a desperate bid to escape the young human, making a beeline toward a bizarre, barrel-shaped object that stood not far away. So, like 13 and a half inch tall, basically, is what they're saying in the translation from centimeters to, inches. And they're just booking away from him towards this, what looks like basically a beer keg with some accoutrement. which we will get to in a second.
Dude, it's the
Inner
fucking
gla-
Keebler barrel-aged stout elves.
Yes.
From space, dude.
Oh, craft beer elves from
I'm in.
space. In his October 9th, 2014 article for the weekly Italian magazine, read tabloid, Cronica Vera, or True Chronicles, titled My Biggest Fear, The Encounter with UFOs, reporter Tommaso Vitali Rosati managed to track down the then 72-year-old Marziano, who, despite the elapse of over half a century, claimed that the events that had occurred in 1954 were still fresh in his memory. He described the enigmatic entity, stating, quote, "Regarding their features, I have always explained that it was not possible for me to notice the details of their face because they had turned their backs to re-enter the object. But I clearly noticed that they were wearing a sort of tight-fitting suit of slightly dark and shiny metallic color like plastic." Marziano would go on to describe their most striking feature, quote, "They were different from us. They had a larger head than the body, and instead of being round, it was very flattened." So based on illustrations that I think that he fed into and helped, make it clear, imagine a thin human body with a big fucking loaf of bread, broader than the
that's kind of what I was
shoulders,
picture. I'm like,
sitting atop a relatively long neck.
Like Stewie Griffin?
Yeah, but not football-like. Imagine like a flat,
Oh, okay.
not baguette, like
No,
thin,
just
but like a heavy
loaf of pain
loaf of-
Italian.
Yes.
Okay.
That just goes beyond the shoulders.
Italian loaf bread
Okay.
heads. Cool.
Yeah, because when it says larger head than the body, I'm like,
That can go in a lot of ways.
yeah, I didn't know if he meant lengthwise.
And
so
all
it's
he
just
says is
weird, fucking
flat.
humongous.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he meant just longer
So
than the shoulders.
it's not
makes more
it's not
sense.
even as tall as, say, a normal human head would be relative to the body based on the illustrations.
Right.
It's like, say, 3/4 of a human head high, and then like hammerhead shark wide.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But you don't see eyes at the end.
Can again.
Yeah, no doubt. It's fucking weird. Sagely, Marziano added, but perhaps they were wearing helmets. So, who knows?
Fair.
Marziano watched as these mysterious melon heads piled into the barrel-like container, quote unquote, that was partially concealed behind a bush and was approximately 2 feet wide at the center and stood just under 5 feet in height. The young sheep herder noted an antenna-like projection at the top, as well as a pair of propeller-like structures jutting out of the front that began to spin. The high technology of
Dude.
fucking propellers.
I love this.
I love biplane
So cool.
technology
I do,
on
it's so
ostensibly extraterrestrials. And of course, it brings you right back to the Potosi fucking sheep slayer with their
Yes,
goddamn
with their-
hyper beanies and their fucking weird helicopter chairs.
Yeah.
Helicopter chairs.
Is this more steampunk shit?
It's all steampunk shit. The best
the
of this stuff is
yeah.
steampunk. Elves started steampunk, and we'll get into it. I got a
be
little
gnomes.
I got a little fey line here.
All right,
I don't
cool.
know. We'll see.
Sweet.
So they began to spin. Pacifico did not arrive in time to see the creatures in question, but managed to get a full view of the vessel as it shot skyward with an eerie, hissing whistle. Unnerving as this brief run-in almost certainly was, it would be what happened next that would leave the preteens in a state of total terror. Evidently feeling just as threatened as their human counterparts, the creatures aboard the decidedly anti-aerodynamic craft decided to further discourage their pursuers. When the UFO had reached a height of roughly 65 feet, it ejected a silent, glowing orange orb that resembled to the boys a flaming balloon.
Do they have a fucking bomb technology?
This might actually be an instance of an actual firework. It's in Italy.
Yeah, no, we went
Yeah.
there with the El Zeta anomalies,
Yeah.
the whole failed 4th of July experience.
Thing whistled, shot up, flaming orb came out of it.
This could be.
I've got to say,
They're just lighting it and throwing it.
spoiler alert,
Fuck them.
Chris might be right.
Okay, all right.
Oh no, really? Oh God. Oh man. I swear to God, I didn't read this.
The young herders stared in wonder as the burning ball slowly descended when, without warning, the orbicular object, quote unquote, exploded
Oh
violently in midair.
It's a firework. It's an M80.
No way.
The boys were blasted backwards by the scorching shock wave, which mercifully did not injure either of the kids. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, the slow floating flame ball blasted back. It's on. It's a fucking failed firework.
It's fucking great.
The barrel screeched eastward at an incredible rate of speed toward Monte Verde. But the boys wasted no time in watching it depart. They were too busy scrambling to their feet and sprinting home in a blind panic. Quote, in the meantime, we were going down the slope, and when we got home, we told what had happened. That was from Marziano. Marziano, when talking to reporter Tommaso Vitali Rosati in 2014, recalled his parents' all too common reaction to his strange story, stating, quote, logically, we were not believed by our parents, who, however, talked about it at the bar and the mill where my father worked, end quote.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Fucking
Well, yeah.
gossip and it's weird.
Yeah, of course. The boys also told their teacher what had transpired on the slopes of Skagagia. It was from this local gossip, from the schoolyard to the water cooler to the local watering hole, that the news of the boys' odd encounter reached the press. Just 3 days later, on October 28th, the newspaper La Nazione, I'm assuming it's The Nation, but I didn't translate this because I'm an idiot, recounted the events with additional commentary by a professor hailing from San Severino who claimed that the actual incident took place near the village of Santa Filomena Colsero on the border between the municipalities of San Severino and Kingoli, which is situated just over 9 miles due south of the village of Colserasa, which would make it one hell of a hike for 2 kids, a dog, and a flock of fucking sheep. Regardless,
All right.
I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure on the
Okay.
geography or if these motherfuckers are really hiking that hard every day after school.
I mean, it's a hike.
I mean, they said
All
that they fed their sheep wherever they felt like they didn't have one permanent grazing ground, and this just happened to be where they were that day. So who the fuck knows? Maybe they just wanted a long walk. No sooner than the exciting encounter between the kids and the Macerata Melonheads burst in the press than the local authorities began to inquire about the incident. Marziano and Pacifico were first approached by the Singoli and San Severino Marche I'm going to say this wrong. I had to say it a million times too. Carabinieri, the national police force of Italy, who featured prominently in Italy's infamous Zamfretta affair, which, as we recall, began back in December of '78, and we did the 3-part on that. Leave it there. And were even approached by members of the Scientific Police of Naples, which is sadly not a highly technological monster hunting team of soldier scientists a la Ultraman, which is what my dream was, but just fucking forensic cops.
Yeah.
I know, it broke my heart.
Then
Like, the
don't call yourself
Scientific
Ray.
team
You
of
can't
Naples
call
Scientific
yourself that.
Police. Oh, he's so hardcore.
Lark.
As well as Andrea Quintini, the chairman of the Scientific Association of Bilancia. So he was another, I guess, scientific cop. Marziano recalled the hell he was put through by various officials, all of whom seemed hell-bent on extracting a confession from the boy, many of whom believed that he had made the whole thing up. Quote, we then accompanied the authorities to the site of the sighting, while 2 sides had been created among the population, those who believed that aliens had really landed and those who said we had invented everything. Since only I had seen the 3 hominids, since Pacifico was behind me along the little slope, I was targeted by everyone, journalists, carabinieri, and even the then parish priest, Don Quinto, who made me swear on the gospel that what I saw was really there. As if Pacifico and I were criminals, we were interrogated separately by the police.
They got Jesus involved?
It reminds me
It is Vatican
of,
land. So
when the 3 kids came back from Fatima and in Portugal and claimed to have seen, the most famous vision of Mary probably ever, the greatest Marian vision, which ended with, I guess, hundreds of thousands of people seeing the sun turn blue and bounce around in the sky, which some people equate to a UFO sighting. Other people, obviously Catholics, believe it to be a full-on miracle. It has been declared a miracle, I believe, by the Catholic Church. But when they first came back, not only were the cops and the local authorities on their ass, but the local parish priest was all the time, threatening them with hellish damnation and whatever. And they were like, eat it. fucking this happened
Right.
and Mary's real and suck it. Either they stuck to a hard lie and fucking won in the end. Well, they didn't win. Two of the kids died of influenza and one became a nun who was fucking locked in a cell most of her life. But their story prevailed.
Yeah. No,
or it really happened and it still sucks and the two kids went instantly to heaven.
Higher up people, they never liked when just like plebes saw stuff.
Oh, they
got fucking so mad that it wasn't them.
Right.
It's so true.
You know, experiencing the fucking, why wasn't I picked?
I'm special. I dedicated my life. Whatever.
Dude, Jesus don't care about you, dude. Sorry,
Sometimes,
dog.
you know what? Sometimes Jesus doesn't have special guest stars like Chris.
Oh, yeah. Or sometimes Chris is our special guest Jesus.
Well, I think most times.
Wow, all right.
Yeah.
Regardless, the skepticism on the part of these authorities is understandable. In fact, if it had been a pair of Midwestern 1950s American farm boys who'd claimed to have had this enigmatical encounter, it would be perfectly reasonable to wonder if the proliferation of sci-fi imagery, from the endless spate of movies detailing alien invasions to articles in world-renowned publications theorizing about genuine UFO encounters, had somehow influenced the youths, inspiring them to either fabricate or innocently misinterpret what they saw. But Marziano and Pacifico lived in rural cottages in an isolated section of Italy. Their only contact with the outside world, according to Marziano, was a radio that his father owned, but which was always off because it rarely emitted more than muffled, unintelligible sounds due to the distance between it and the nearest broadcast tower. Furthermore, Marziano insisted that neither he nor Pacifico had ever discussed or even considered the possibility of life beyond Earth. It was something beyond the pale of their rustic, hard-scrabbled day-to-day existence. Marziano elaborated, quote, "No newspapers of any kind entered the house. In short, Pacifico and I could not know anything about UFOs and life on other planets," end quote. Despite this harrowing ordeal, the boys stuck to their stories, and eventually another eyewitness, Maria Ruggieri, came out to corroborate the young shepherd's account. According to Maria, she was at work in the fields not far from Mount Skagaglia when the sound of the exploding fireball caught her attention. She looked up just in time to see the strange object hurtling overhead and disappearing to the east. Also, this is a side note, but fuck it, in what must be chalked up to a vexing twist of fate, the uncomfortable spotlight already illuminating Marziano was continually exacerbated by the fact that his name literally translated into the Italian word for Martian.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's not going to help anything.
Nope.
No.
All right.
A fact which the press never hesitated to incorporate in their endless parade of stories.
Fucking
I bet.
Fucking press. Fucking free press. Keeping us all informed.
Martian sees Martian.
Yeah.
That would definitely...
No, literally, he probably just quoted the headline without even knowing.
you're right.
That would definitely be like a New York fucking Post
Oh,
headline for sure.
Marziano eventually moved to Epignano, where he got married and became a house painter. His only memento of his life-altering encounter is a dog-eared copy of a book by famed parapsychologist, author, and TV presenter Massimo Inardi titled UFO in Italy, the 1954 Wave. In 1954, I mean, 1955, we know Loveland and Hopkinsville and Casablanca. But it is, if you look in like the files of NICAP or other things, it is fucking nuts. Like the mid-50s, 54 through 55, are just stupid replete with alien encounters, much less UFO sightings. So it's nuts. So I can see why he wrote a book just about Italy. So not only is this, I digressed here. So Marziano's only memento is this book and the memories that, despite the decades gone by, simply refuse to fade.
Oh, damn.
So this is really, it's intriguing. It's weird. We can break it down now. We can break it down later.
I mean, I'm gonna go with this. I like the fairy tip. I'm gonna go with fairy here because it sounds like the propeller
tech.
It just screams
That
fairy.
does not seem interstellar.
No, not interstellar at all, dude. This is some old school fucking
Unless you
Italian
need a propeller
fairies, dude.
just to like get you like just beyond Earth's gravity before you can open a temporal vortex and do wherever the fuck you're going.
Right.
Still could be fairies though.
I'm
Yeah.
the
Big,
fucking firework.
loaf-headed fairies.
Yeah, weird fairies, dude.
Yeah, that's weird.
I am basing my hypothesis strictly on a propeller.
Yeah, two propellers.
Two propellers,
Yeah.
which I've made worse assertions on this podcast.
Sure.
No,
So,
you definitely have.
yeah.
Well,
so-
I mean, the Red Baron wasn't a fairy, so
well,
I mean, he might have been one of the Fae that I don't know became part of the Bavarian Empire and then
Right.
fought in the skies above
Yeah,
Europe.
how did he get that popular?
I mean, I had an uncle, and I owned his bed after he died, and it had these really cool carved, I don't know, knobby things that looked like pineapples. He fought the Red Baron and didn't die.
really?
He shot at him. The Baron shot at him, apparently. At least he told that story. Neither one of them died. He didn't kill the Red Baron.
Okay, and then
didn't-
they.
But I was like, oh, I'm sleeping in a Red Baron duelist's bed. As a kid, I fucking really felt cool about that.
Dang, all right.
trying to fucking get
So
him.
Red Baron might be a Fae.
All right.
All biplane pilots might
Yeah,
be
could
Fae
be.
for all I fucking
Yeah.
know.
Could be. This definitely the weird tech, the weird steampunky tech. I believe, as Chris said earlier, the whole fire, display or whatever. It has a little hint of the fairy to me. A little hint of the fae. Smidge.
I'm sure
guess.
Jean Villiers and his passports to all sorts of places, including Magonia,
yeah.
would probably agree.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Classic.
what doesn't, though?
Classic. Yeah.
does- No, I know.
Dude,
Like, that's the problem.
think about
Yeah.
it, dude. The veil. The
Well,
umbrella.
see, that's the thing, though. Oh, god damn it! I don't want to go too magic
propeller?
whale, but the propellers are fucked.
Dude.
It's such a weird thing. Like, it's all I see is like a keg with like two propellers, a weird antenna, and these, and it's not even that big. It's like under 5 foot tall,
Yeah.
about 2 feet wide.
Yeah.
And 2 foot tall creatures three of them are piling in. Now, it could have TARDIS like technology where it's bigger on the inside, or they're crammed in there. Or they're little fucking robots and don't care, and they instantly plug into a wall and fucking charge or whatever the fuck.
A weird wood wall.
Oh, a wooden wall.
Yeah.
Oh, so
What
it's
are the
for-
fucking
yeah, it could be
odds?
robots.
Hold on.
Heels of the war. It's always the heels of the war. But they were just some motherfucker was just trying to make some sneaky war tech that just like dropped. I mean, the thing exploded.
If
the way,
it was
if
just the ship, I would say maybe you're onto something.
Well, let's just talk about the shit. I'm not going to
Okay.
include the melon. I don't know what those fucking things are. They could be maybe they were robots. They need pilots, and they're just
Little
automatons.
Pinocchios. Who the fuck knows?
Right. But like, I could just see him like, yeah, well, she can make these little barrels with propellers. It just drops these fucking bombs. It's not gonna be detected. No one's gonna fucking see him.
Oh,
I mean,
early drone tech.
Aerial flame. Yeah.
I mean, if
bombs
really, if
that explode just above the ground. And, I mean, but it didn't kill 2 kids that weren't that far away. So not hyper effective.
Test run.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's only there to distract the enemy.
Oh, the heels of the Great War.
The heels of the Great
Yeah.
War.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the dude was just who made it was just like psychotic assholes, and they're like, yeah, we'll just test it out on these kids. We'll see what they do.
Oh my god.
And luckily, they didn't fucking die.
They make the choice. We're doing this.
Oh, my
There's
God.
kids. Fuck it. This will work. Good
Yeah,
enough.
no, I mean,
know-
early Italian war profiteers just, letting the fucking the
Yeah.
innocent plebes fucking
Dude,
perish.
weird fucking drone tech. I mean, yeah, there it
Well,
is.
that's what I'm saying.
Fairies, robots,
Drone
drone tech. I mean, that's one thing we don't hardly ever talk about. And maybe someday we will. That breakaway society theory where all UFO shit is really just a different, like, where, like, the Greek philosophers, there was a whole group of them that just got together and fixed the Antikythera mechanism and just made tech that went from there and ignored the fucking Dark Ages and the plagues and the bullshit and all the things the rest of us idiots and our ancestors were doing, and just have this, like, hyper-tech society. They might have, in the mid-50s, had drones and robots and little balls of fire that are just explosive enough to startle you and make you run away but not kill you. Burn your eyebrows, maybe.
Yeah.
Singe your shit.
I mean, who knows?
I mean, it wasn't
dude?
like World War One
Masons,
bomb
Illuminati.
tech, like people literally throwing bombs out of a fucking plane.
Yeah, people were
Yeah.
just
was
literally
like dropping fucking
hand
bombs.
grenade bombs. Yeah.
So, I mean, kind of along the same lines, but they got some new shit here where it explodes over the ground.
But you got to remember, too, this is not World War One. This is 54.
Right.
So World War II had really expanded on it. We're not talking biplane tech anymore.
True.
We're talking
Right.
like serious bombers, B-52 type shits.
Yeah.
We're talking the Great War, the biggie. And definitely Italy was war torn just a decade, probably up until then. So, I don't know. It's difficult.
I don't know, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
Chris is onto something, but I think we can also tie the fairies into there. The guy was using fairy tech. Oh, shit.
I could have made a deal.
It could have been.
Could have made that.
I mean,
devil's bargain.
the melon heads definitely to me sound very like Fey-ish. That's the thing.
The big fucking heads.
Dude, big heads. Fairies got big heads, and you got to believe me.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been robots and they were actually carrying loaves of bread. It's Italy.
Oh my God.
So fuck off. Fuck your veil.
Wow. Whoa. All right.
Put your veil in your umbrella.
Wow.
Close that. Shove it up your butthole.
There it is.
Open it in your butthole.
Oh no!
And then
Open the umbrella. Open the
enjoy
umbrella.
all the glories.
Oh my God! The umbrella in my ass and opening it.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but not with the
Yeah.
bread because I still want to eat it.
All right.
Yeah, don't use the bread.
No, it's
Leave
going
the bread.
It's going up there. It's going
Take
up
the
there.
butthole.
No.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
Our second encounter deals with another of the strangely skulled species that we've lumped under the blockhead umbrella and is without a doubt one of the weirdest ostensibly alien entities on the books. A big shout out here goes to our resident researcher, Cole Herrold,
Oh shit! What up,
Herrold.
Cole? What's happening, brother?
for his deep dive on these bizarre beings in his February 2022 article titled Old Saybrook Blockheads. So thank you, Cole. The incident, which has become the stuff of legend, occurred in the small coastal New England town of Old Saybrook, located in Middlesex County, Connecticut, about 30 miles east of New Haven. On December 16th, 1957, Mrs. Mary Starr, a former school teacher with a master's degree from Yale, was alone in her bed when she was startled awake by a blindingly bright light that burst through her window with astonishing luminosity. Having been in a dead sleep for nearly 5 hours, Mary, whose husband was not at home at the time, was in no mood to deal with whatever kind of foolishness had resulted in her room being bathed in this irritatingly brilliant glow, and stomped over to the window to see who or what was responsible.
She is
just mad.
So
All right.
fucking mad.
That's an old pissy teacher. She's dealt with 7th graders. Fuck you, glow. At first, all Mary could make out was the fact that the woods and fields surrounding her home were awash in the same eerie luminescence that was shooting through her window. But it was then that she noticed a silvery, self-illuminated object, which to her resembled a quote-unquote crippled airplane. It's like a crunched-up crippled airplane, I guess? I don't know.
Weird
Yeah, I don't
way
know
to
either.
describe it, but
But, quote, this is going back to Cole's article, as she opened her eyes wider, as they adjusted to the light's intensity, she could see that this was not the case. As she stared at the object, she could see that it was a large cigar-shaped craft that was approximately 20 to 30 feet long and was no more than 10 feet from the north side of her home. Fucking 10 feet from her home.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I love the classic cigar-shaped UFOs.
Yeah,
They're
they're
so
vintage.
fucking dope.
They are. My dad said he saw one once when he was like in his teens.
Holy
A
shit!
cigar-shaped one?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, why?
What?
Why is this news?
Why you just told me this?
Because
now?
that's literally where the story ends.
I
have no more information about this.
I've known about Mark's mom's Bigfoot sighting.
Like, don't bring my mother's Bigfoot sighting into this.
Dude, she loves telling me every
and
time
she
I see
should
her.
not tell you because she was drunk. She doesn't tell anyone that she was drunk.
Drunk people can still see Bigfoot.
It was in the afternoon.
Drunk afternoon drunk people can still see Bigfoot.
How dare
in the
how dare you.
afternoon.
She brings it up to me constantly.
not
She's
a
like,
reply.
Have me on the show. I'm like, you were hammered. Dad confirmed it.
Yeah, but did he see the Bigfoot?
No, because he wasn't drunk.
Oh.
She
But he
was.
just wasn't looking in the same place.
Nah.
All right,
Anyway,
cigar.
Chris's father. Holy shit,
Yeah.
amazing here. Fuck.
Fucking art, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
God damn
that's all the details he gave me, and that's all. Now you know. That's all you
Do you
got.
know where he saw it?
No,
How far away? Nothing. You don't know anything. God damn it.
These guys.
no, because he didn't know
Chris
anything.
has nothing.
Because I asked the same questions. I'm
Yeah.
like, he doesn't remember really when it was, like how far high it was.
You just saw it? No
It's like,
shit.
that was it. So what I just told you was what he just
Right.
told me, and he asked the questions you're asking me. I asked him, and he didn't know, and you don't know because I don't know.
There it is. And that's the provenance of art sighting, and I love it. Now we know.
Welcome to the Chris game.
Ergo Fresno Nightcrawlers. That's not even a game. Like
I know.
I gave you the
You don't
exact
know,
account
don't
as
know,
I
you don't
got
know,
it.
I don't know. Who are we? Who are you? Who are we? Friends and hands.
All right.
Oh, God.
All right. So let's get back to where we're at. We're in the mid fucking 50s. There is a cigar shaped craft, 30 to 20 feet long, 10 feet from a fucking window.
All right.
We're going to find out how high it is right now. Well, in a minute. Seconds. The object was a dark gray or black color and wingless. And as she looked at its form, she could see that it had square portholes that, along with the body of the craft, glowed immensely. So I don't know if the portals are brighter or dimmer. The object hovered above her clotheslines, which were just under 5 feet,
Okay.
and hovered motionless between the house and the tool shed, end quote. So I'm assuming it's a first-story bedroom, because if it's only 5 feet high from the ground and she can see directly into portals, I don't know how you could do that from a second story.
Right.
So it's
Man,
10 feet
math
from the
doesn't
house,
work.
5 feet from the ground,
So it's just hovering
20 to
there.
30 feet long.
All right, just hovering there, just
Dark
chilling.
gray or
Okay.
black. I don't know if I'm adding metallic. No, just wingless cigar.
All right, cool. I like it.
It was at that moment, as the Ivy League educated teacher stared at this unidentified object with frank astonishment, that Mary noticed something moving just beyond the portals. Squinting to get a better look, Mary was able to make out 2 figures moving back and forth within the craft. Once again, from Cole's account, quote, Mary was surprised at this and watched the figures closely while also taking note of the overall design of the ship. It was in this that she got a very good look at the beings and inside of the craft and took note of how shallow the object was. It was from this she noted that the beings could not have been more than 3.5 to 4 feet tall. So that's another thing. We don't get a specific height on the thing. It's 20 to 30 feet long.
Yeah.
Let's assume it's 6 feet high, maybe
Yeah.
6 or 7 feet. We don't know. It's just shallow.
Okay.
Is all we get. Okay. But the creatures within are 3.5 to 4 feet tall. But as she stared at the figures, she saw that they were even more peculiar than the craft itself. The entities, as they moved, raised their right arm the entire time, yet she could not see a hand. They also seemed to have a body that was wrapped in a kind of yellow jacket that flared out at the bottom so that she could not make out any legs or feet. However, while she couldn't see the feet or legs, she felt that perhaps they were simply out of her sight line and that below the portholes they might have been visible, end quote. So it's hard to get an image here.
Well, we can attach
Yeah.
pictures to the Instagram.
Yes, we will.
And you will, because it is a weird description.
It's a weird thing.
It's super hard to
It gets
figure out.
weirder.
Yep.
Strange as these lumpy, jaundice-suited apparitions might have been, it would be, not surprisingly, based on what this fucking episode is about, their heads that caught Mary off guard. Nestled directly atop their, for lack of a better word, shoulders, was what seemed to be a transparent cube, in the center of which hovered a free-floating, glowing red bulb that cast an odd blood orange glow on the cube that contained it.
I love their heads. They're
heads.
so fucking cool.
The old Saybrook Blockheads.
So cool.
Just this fucking plastic aquarium,
Yeah.
square, I'd say maybe 12
Just
by
a-
12, who the fuck
with a
knows,
bulb.
with a weird glowing red orb on the inside. But bulb maybe has a little taper at the bottom.
That's what
like
I
a
pictured.
neck. I mean, that's what a bulb
Yeah.
is. It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't say necessarily, a sphere. It says bulb. So
Right.
it's fucked up. And does the bulb actually attach to that lumpy? Because it's like a weird. It's like pyramidal the way it's always drawn.
like-
I
It's almost like a-
picture a sea-level Doctor Who villain.
oh,
It's
totally.
just a fucking
It looks kinda
glass
like-
square and just a,
kinda
like
a light
early
bulb
70s.
in the fucking middle.
Yeah.
They're kind of built like
And
a
anytime it
Dalek,
talks, it goes,
sort of.
"Ay."
Yeah, exactly. And it flashes every time they speak. Absolutely.
It kind of looks like a Dalek.
But their voice more like. "Doctor."
I mean, not really.
No, that's still shitty Dalek.
Yeah.
No, that's full Dalek.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
We got to
some
do a
Dalek.
non-Dalek voice. Someone do a non-Dalek voice. No, it's so close. Too close.
I mean, Doctor. God damn it.
No, damn it. You
No,
can't
can't.
avoid the Dalek.
I can't. Fucking
Yeah.
Doctor.
Honestly,
Just be over like,
Cybermen-
hello, I'm
there you
I'm
go.
QB.
Hey,
QB.
He's back.
Bulbia.
from planet Bulbia.
That is a
amazing.
Doctor Who fucking villain.
QB.
Planet Barbia. Want to see
All
my
right.
dick? Whoa.
So,
Whoa.
you've got this sloppy,
All right, weird.
almost like straitjacket body. One arm sticking out,
Yep.
maybe not even a second arm.
Could be a
no
dick.
hand.
Could be a
We're gonna get to that in a second. I'm just skipping ahead. I don't give a fuck.
All right.
No hand, arm sticking out.
Cool.
A clear plastic fucking box situated where the fabric comes up into it, and just this glowing red bulb. Like Marziano before her, Mary speculated that the radiant orb and squarish clear skull might not be the thing's actual head, but some sort of helmet, or perhaps even a quote-unquote bizarre fashion choice. Cole would, yeah. No, I
Okay.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
why
No.
we can't be the only sentient creatures that care about our appearance.
Cool.
I mean, obviously not the three of us, but I mean, other human beings really give a fuck about how they look.
all right.
I'm sorry, Croc King. I didn't mean.
How dare you?
I know.
Son of a bitch.
So who knows? Maybe they're being fashionable. Cole would aptly compare these things to the living art installations that Delia Dietz created in the movie Beetlejuice, or a handmade sculpture that a child might make in a preschool arts and crafts class. Whatever their genetic or mechanical origins may have been, Mary was understandably riveted by these inhuman entities. Quote, again back to Cole. As she looked further into the object, she could not make out anything that would suggest comfort or even the basic sense of technology, such as chairs or instruments. Mary, as she continued to watch, then saw a third being enter the room, and just as the entity began to move towards its shipmates, the portals went black. The object then began to glow even brighter than it had before, mainly from the top, and she watched as an antenna-like structure about 6 inches long began to rise up and spin and sparkle like a failed Roman candle.
Oh, dude, weird heads and fireworks, man. Welcome to fucking Karate Town. Let's do it.
Karate Town!
Yeah, dude.
The fuck?
I don't know, but I love it.
The fucking Karate Town, dog.
After about 5 minutes of this pinwheel light show, the antenna disappeared back into the ship and the object began to move. So it's just the shitty Roman candle antennas.
Yeah.
Spin, 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 spark, spark, spark. And that's how you fucking jumpstart your super interdimensional / interstellar fucking
That's their spark plug, I guess.
hypergalactic fucking vessel.
Oregon fairies.
Oregon Ferris.
There you go.
You're right. The vessel moved smoothly for a short time, still flying some 5 feet off the ground, and then began to make a sharp right-hand turn. As it did this, the craft looked less like a cigar and more like an oval about 6 feet thick, and changed color to a dark bluish gray. Lights previously unseen by Mary then started to shine along with the craft that outlined the entire rim. And that's always the thing that fascinates me about UFOs. There's 2 things about this that are notable. One is that it follows closely the terrain of the land, something that rarely happens in
that's
UFO
weird.
incidents.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
strange.
not like I think Cole even mentions in his article that it's almost as if it required to be a certain amount of feet off the ground to stay aloft. Which
Almost
again,
like a hoverboard, like from
Yeah.
Back to the Future,
Or hover-
where it's
yeah.
just like it's like using magnets.
Yeah,
or something?
exactly.
Huh.
Something like
Weird.
that, which I find interesting.
Oh.
But the other thing that I love is that it's almost like like the fanfare we have when we're having a launch of one of our primitive spacecraft. Like all of a sudden shit changes color, and like starboard and port lights fucking start gleaming down the side, and then it gets ready to fucking, here's the big show.
Yeah.
Here's where we fucking go,
Yeah,
fuckers.
dude.
And I just kind of love that. All right. The UFO then proceeded to dip and follow the same pattern as the terrain of the land. So I think I talked about that before I read it. Almost as if it needed the ground to help in maintaining its ability to hover. Hence what I said Cole said. There he is. The craft moved north of Mary's house for some time until it suddenly tilted sharply and began to rocket up into the sky at a completely ludicrous speed. Nice touch, Cole. And maintained being absolutely silent even as it did this. Cole continued. The area where she lived was mostly vacant at the time, so she was the only person to see the craft and its occupants. However, Old Saybrook, for weeks prior, had several sightings of strange craft in the area, and this would continue until at least the following year as reports, both in local newspapers and through UFO investigating committees and institutions, would be accounted. When word broke out about Mrs. Starr's encounter, Richard Hall, former assistant director of NICAP, the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomenon, which had only recently been founded on October 24th, 1956, so it's still a new entity at this point, and NICAP's research consultant, So Richard Hall, who is both the former assistant of NICAP and NICAP's research consultant, as well as Isabel Davis, who we will remember as the co-author of, along with Ted Blocher, Close Encounters at Kelly and Others of 1955. You'll remember we did Blocher's extensive account of Loveland, but she's the one that does the full-on accounting of the Hopkinsville Kelly goblins, which, of course, we're going to use as a huge resource.
Nice.
But anyway, obviously just preeminent people. another member of NICAP, came to the location and investigated the sighting. The investigators interviewed Mary and searched the area of the sighting, and upon taking into account her background as a Yale graduate and teacher, as well as the fact that she seemingly would have no reason to create or fabricate a story such as this, Richard Hall nor Isabel Davis could find any reason to dismiss her account, end quote. So, I mean, maybe it's a little too much. Like, I don't think just because you went to Yale, your word is more important than, say, the folks in Delphos, Kansas, who saw the crazy shit and the luminous fucking ring that was left that numbed the mom's arm and whatever. But that still, I get it. Somebody that is a respected member of the community, does have an Ivy League education, might be less willing to risk their reputation on fabricating a completely batshit crazy story with completely batshit crazy aliens 10 feet from her fucking house. So I will give the devil its due.
I mean, I get it.
Okay. He continues. This encounter is particularly bizarre because there are a lot of weird little bits to this case that make you scratch your head because this case is completely one of a kind. When breaking this case down, I think it would be best to start with the entities, as it's probably the most interesting element. These beings are extremely bizarre and seem to be, at least from the eyewitness sketch and the description, either in some sort of suit, which is what Mary Starr felt was the case, or some sort of organism that is built extremely weird, or some sort of artificial life form or synthetic life form, end quote. So, all interesting possibilities.
Yeah, they don't have classic humanoid features.
No.
So, I mean...
the first ones do.
Right.
The Macerata Melonheads have full-on human bodies and a giant loaf of a head.
This thing here has weird...
Old Saybrook Blockheads are...
glowy cube.
Well, I mean, I guess they're slightly anthropomorphic in the sense that they build up from the bottom to what seems to be a head and one, like, Frankenstein-like arm sticking out.
Yeah.
Or mummy-like fucking whatever, handless appendage.
Powerpuff Girl arm.
Yeah, exactly. No, really.
Yeah, seriously.
So it's fucking weird. I'm going to continue here. One of the most popular interpretations of these beings is that they are simply blob-like organisms with a kind of mechanical or crystal-like head. When one goes this route, it's difficult to imagine just how an intelligent organism could function in a form such as this. But at the same time, this could be just some perfectly evolved entity on their homeworld, and that their form is suited for what they need to live. It also, if this is to be the case, is one of the few extraterrestrial encounters that does not fall under the classic humanoid umbrella. These entities are vaguely humanoid, as they have a possible head and at least one arm-like structure, like I just said, and no discernible legs or feet. But when one sees a being like this, their first thought is not to compare it to a person. When ufologists look at this case, when they view these entities, they tend to put them in the robotic class of extraterrestrials. Usually what is implied by this is that these entities are either machines or organic machines created by some higher intelligence, and that their purpose is to conduct missions on Earth. This is perhaps the most realistic option for most extraterrestrial encounters, as we do something similar on other planets, end quote. So, we'll put a link to Cole's article. He does a lot of interesting speculating on this point, and you can get into that, and it's really worth reading. I'm just going to round it up with this. Though both encounters were brief, and there was very little interaction between the so-called blockheads and their human counterparts, the unique physiology of the creatures in question, combined with their strange crafts, make this pair of cases two of the most fascinating in the already epic archives of ufology.
Nice.
So it's really weird. Now, I lumped them together simply because there were two very short cases that involved interactions that were terrifying, potentially, though I don't think Mary Starr was terrified, to the eyewitnesses, but that not really a lot of interaction took place, and that they had weird heads. So I lumped them there because of this.
Dude, heads are weird. Put them together, man. Put them in a fucking little strudel.
Old Saybrook could probably demand its own, but it's just such a brief encounter.
No, right.
Yeah. And it is classic. I mean, I've seen that description and that drawing all over the place for years.
Oh, yeah.
It's super fucking cool. I do like the idea, though, that maybe they are like some kind of like drone or something.
We talked about that in the Venezuelan Littlefoot episode, the idea of organic drones.
Yeah.
that if you have evolved a type of technology where you can just instantly create something in this like gelatinous genetic fucking tube that just is fit for this environment, you need it to dig dirt, you give it long metal claws like the knife claws of the Littlefoot, or it needs to do something. I don't know what the Blockheads needed to do, or the Melonheads for that matter. The Blockheads never actually left their ship, so
No, they
that's
stayed
something
in there.
different
Yeah.
entirely. Really.
Yeah.
For some reason, the Melonheads were off. So they're exploring,
Right.
they're
They were
doing
doing
something, they're looking. And again, extraterrestrials and fairy folk and all sorts of other entities seem to be obsessed with Earth dirt. And I have no fucking idea why. Now, the Melonheads and certainly not the Blockheads were not seen collecting dirt, so that doesn't apply to this. But it just seems like they're always on some geological or some water-based mission where they're siphoning fucking shit from a reservoir, which would make sense. I mean, everything we know requires water. Not everything requires sunlight.
First thing we do if we ever we get to Mars, what do? We get rock samples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what. That's
No, you're right.
Seriously.
So, I mean, you're
like-
right. So there's a consistency and purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You find out what the planet is before you give a fuck about,
Yeah, sure.
the who's involved, I guess.
Totally.
So it's weird. But, all right, so we kind of broke down a little bit the Melonheads. These old Saybrook Blockheads. I mean, all right, so the old woman, she's not necessarily old. She's a retired teacher. I don't know how old she is. Maybe had a seizure. Maybe had a fit. Maybe had a weird break that was either medically induced, pharmacologically induced, or psychologically induced, and fucking had an experience. Because the problem with that is, unlike Maria, the third witness of the Melonhead situation in Italy, who at least confirmed that there was a big explosion and a craft flying overhead, nobody was around,
It was just
I
her.
know that's a problem.
and it's tough.
And she was asleep and she woke up. So
And there is the exploding head syndrome. Now,
Right.
that is not often or ever, I suppose, accompanied by a full-on hallucination.
No, she could be having like a lucid dream or something,
Right.
and totally dream the entire thing. It's a possibility.
But then you would think, too, I've never had like a super lucid dream. You would wake up the next day and not be like inclined to report it.
True.
Unless you had a real experience.
Yeah, if it was
or
that.
something you believed was a real experience, or B, you're making shit up for I don't know why. She never turned a profit, never wrote a book,
No.
never.
Doesn't
so
really
I don't think a lie.
stand to make any money off of this.
So you saw it, you really believed you saw it,
Yeah.
but fucking you had a moment of some sort, or you're lying. Lying does not fit anything that I can perceive.
No. No.
You can't. So we say that to get the skeptical side off the
Yeah.
table.
I think she got a glimpse of Magonia, man. You got that little pinwheel firework thing on the top happening there. Oh, a
What
little
the
spark
fuck
action.
is going on with these ships
I
too?
love when ships do this shit, though. It's so cool.
It's
Whether
not the only time like a pinwheel sparky thing has been seen on a goddamn.
Yeah.
I mean, you defy
Yeah.
gravity.
Yeah.
You change shape apparently from
Seemingly.
cigar to oval. You glow so
Seemingly.
fucking bright. Seemingly that you at least annoy a former teacher into waking up.
Right.
Yeah, do I know
What
that?
is going
Seemingly.
on?
I don't know.
And then you just get the little the pinwheel starts spinning, and
Yeah.
then the fuck.
It's like
Did they notice her and be like, "Oh, we gotta do something"?
quick.
Release the pinwheel.
Really though.
They get like the lawnmower pulley, like and the thing starts fucking going. Like, here we go.
Or was there a moment, honestly, in the mid-50s? We talked about this at length with Loveland and the possible Fae connection, the difference between what Robert Honeycutt saw and the more reptilian things that were, from Native American lore and also shot at and seen by cops in the 70s. Like the spate in the 50s was a wholly unique thing. Was there like a Fae invasion? I mean, again, we also talked about in the Mothman prophecies, epic fucking, sexology, whatever, sextet. Fucking, what if these things were just able to, again, we do it all the time, the piercing of the veil. And it seems like weird cyber or fucking steampunk, as Chris was saying, tech wielding entities were just coming through, and they did not seem like hyper high tech, and they definitely seem anomalous as shit, and they are so frequently seen in the mid 20th century that I can't help but wonder, like, was that just like, did the permits all come off? Like, was it like no customs charges? Like, go to Earth, do what you got to fucking do. You got a 6 months fucking window.
Yeah.
Have a good fucking time. Get back. Restrictions are put back
I mean,
in place.
maybe it was at the big year of the Faye expedition. They're like, fuck it, we're going. We know where it is. We're going to pierce the veil all at the same time.
Well,
like
when
there,
they opened up
go.
the Wild West in that terrible Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman film, was it Far and Away or whatever? Ron Howard made it in the early 90s.
Yeah,
but anyway, it was about like an Irish family that, you know, if you
they got the land.
If you could claim the land, it was your land.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like a big like pioneer, you know, rush, like where all these different species are like, all right, Earth's open. You got 3 days. Stake your fucking claim.
Do it.
Old Saybrook, you got Connecticut.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking Melonheads. Italy's yours. You know, you went there, you plugged your fucking flag down, you're like, boom.
And they both, honestly, could be expedition cases where they're just there hanging out and checking it out, getting their samples, doing their shit. And obviously with Saybrook here, they didn't leave the ship, but there's 2 of them on board just kind of hanging out. And then another entity appeared, and then everything went black.
There was 3 in the end.
And then they were like, oh shit, and fucking
Well, and you do
hovered away.
You do what everyone does when you see somebody looking in your window at night.
Turn the light off.
You turn the fucking light off. Because you want to be invisible, and you want to see that motherfucker that's looking at you.
Gotcha, motherfucker,
Right.
gotcha.
Not that Miss Star's a motherfucker.
What about, what if,
Hold on.
Okay.
when they were fucking around with the atom, as they were.
They were.
Right.
No, the late 40s were all about fucking around with the atom.
They
And that
fucking around
certainly
with
went
the
into
atom.
the 50s.
Cool.
What if they pulled like a Stranger Things, and then the Fae, what you think is the Fae isn't the Fae.
Oh.
They just kind of opened up a multiverse portal.
I love this.
And all of this is actually just multiverse. It isn't like ghosts.
You know what makes a lot of sense about what
Dude.
Chris is saying, and I love this, Chris, is that it's not like so many people that are full-on believers of the extraterrestrial hypothesis, where it's like we started lighting off these massive atomic firecrackers, and they suddenly were like, oh, Earth's on the verge, so let's go check them out from our planets. What if, like Gordon Creighton, I saw in a documentary, was like, you think, you know, nuclear bombs do a lot of damage when we test them here in our deserts or oceans. Think about what they could be doing to other dimensions that are just like on the other side. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And he was like, the fuck? We could be really devastating. Like Godzilla versus Megalon. You test a nuclear bomb near the Aleutian Islands, you're really fucking the Cetopians. And you know they're going to call Guy Gann from fucking Nebula M12 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're going to send up Megalon, and you're going to be fucked unless you have a Jet Jaguar and a Godzilla. These are facts and science, folks. But that having been said, what Chris is saying, is fucking saying, the idea that we might be damaging these alternate dimensions with our fucking testing of shit that just can breach the walls, and that it might not only have opened it, but might force things from another place that have entirely different physiologies, entirely different evolutions, entirely different technology to come here and deal with us or assess us, or maybe it just opens a portal, like Chris said. So that's a fascinating theory. Not just coming here from space because they're interested because we can make big boom booms, but like the reality itself that is our planet.
So by splitting the atom and causing this, isn't that technically piercing the veil?
Yeah, that's the most pierce a veil could get, probably.
Yeah, but it's not like the veil where you're thinking of like you go through the veil and then there's a castle. And then Elrond is there, and there's fucking fairies and fucking. I'm just talking.
Is that your veil, Mark? I didn't know.
That is not my veil whatsoever.
Yeah, you always talk about elves and fairies and fucking the Fae. That's exactly what you picture. Tell me that's not what you picture in your head when you say that.
No, not at all.
Really? What do you picture then?
I know. What's your
Like
veil?
what you're talking about. Like it's this weird other fucking adjacent realities.
You picture fucking Fern Gully and fucking holding hands with Casper.
Fern Gully. Why is it Fern Gully?
I paid to see that in the theater.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well,
I'm not proud.
I do like your theory, though. I think that there might be something there. I think maybe we are.
But it might even not even been just like nuclear explosions. It could have been some other like CERN type shit they were doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they just kind of
But nuclear explosions, especially in the
Einstein
mid-50s.
Rosenbridge.
Right. But he's right. But I mean, the testing of hydrogen and atomic bombs in the 50s was so prolific. I mean, people, used to like hang out in Vegas at pools at casinos on the strip, and they'd like see the bombs go off in the distance. They'd be like, "Woo, America!"
Yeah,
oh, man.
And they wouldn't even be thinking about the cancer,
all
the
that
whatnots
cancer coming at you, Jesus.
on the wind. So I mean, it was a time where bombs were, and not just us, obviously the Soviet Union. Where I mean, it was nuts.
I just find
testing.
it like it's like we went through that nuclear, and now all of a sudden the 50s are just
chock full of the weirdest fucking alien
so
encounters
either
ever.
it happened with then or just after that happened
Right.
when they were still maybe experimenting, when they were trying to make the more aggressive bomb.
And if that is something that either tore a hole open or just woke something up,
Oh,
and they're
elder
like,
gods.
"Oh, what the fuck is this?"
The Eldritch.
Where they're like, "Oh," or even if it is something Fae related, where they're like,
Sure.
"What the fuck are these motherfuckers doing now?" And then they poke their head and they're like, "You
See,
kidding me?"
Faye.
And but it's problematic.
What is the Faye mark?
No, I.
Fern Gully.
It is. It's Fern Gully as fuck.
See?
Can Legolas be there? Will he hold me?
Yeah, if you
All
want.
right, good.
But
cool.
it's a fine line.
It's your world. It's your Faye.
We as humans need to define things as fairy-like, sword-wielding, arrow fucking, shooting mayhem that is completely fantastical and Camelot-esque, or extraterrestrial, fully technological Star Wars, or better yet, fucking Last Starfighter, where you're recruited to fight fucking Zur and the Kodan Armada.
Yeah.
But really, what if it's? I mean, we all know that these are just parameters we set because we have different subgenres, fantasy and science fiction. In reality, it could all be this blended shit pile of craziness that has we would have no ability to discern from, just multiple layers of reality where things seem magical to us because we don't fucking get it. And so these things are coming through willy-nilly. Now, the only thing I can think is there must be something restricting them from fucking killing us wholesale, because if our nuclear tests and our hydrogen bomb tests and everything else we've ever fucking tested is doing damage to other realities, there would be justified retaliation against us. We're war criminals as a species, not us specifically or our listeners, unless you happen to be involved in the Manhattan Project. But fucking, for the most part, there has to be something holding their hand. Does that go back to, and now I'm going to the Dubno abductors, the fact that the Earth is like a super hard drive, or that's something that our ancestors,
need our resources,
not our ancestors, but our descendants are going to do,
right?
Is worthwhile enough so that you can't annihilate us as a species, but you have to come here and try to mitigate it somehow and make treaties or hold shit back, prevent nuclear war. Who the fuck knows? But it's a shit show. The veil has been pierced. Chris called it nuclear fucking mayhem of the fucking
nuclear
50s.
mayhem.
Yeah.
Blockheads are here.
There
fucking,
it is.
It is on.
Welcome to Goblin World.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude, it's steampunk CERN.
Oh, I love it.
CERN.
Steampunk CERN.
Oh
there
my
you
god,
go.
that is such an evocative
I know, right?
pair of words.
It's pretty cool.
Those
It's like-
words put together
It's
just
super-
put so many fucking images in my head that I wish I could draw.
Yes.
It's actually amazing. Anyone out there is very talented, and we have tons of much
steampunk CERN.
talented
Steampunk
fucking
CERN, dude.
listeners. Create steampunk
It's all
CERN
this top
immediately.
hats and coal-powered CERN, man.
Yeah.
There you go. Those weird the eye things.
But
or the
monocles, they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking, and just put Mark somewhere in the drawing in a top hat holding an umbrella, and we'll know what that we know what that symbolizes.
Nice. There you have it. Thank you all so very much. Oh, we did it. The Blockheads and the Melonheads.
Yeah, we did nothing. We
No.
went on a spiraling trail
Dude.
of assholery that I
I mean, I
love.
feel like we solved it.
I mean, that too.
But
I
that's
mean,
also,
yes,
that's,
that too.
that's what we do. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that's our show.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
it.
That's how we
Dude,
roll.
Steampunk CERN is going to delight me for fucking months on end.
Because the
super-
impossibilities are fucking endless.
I can see,
Oh,
I can
yeah,
see
totally.
the thing, but it's funny. I'm seeing those big pictures of the CERN fucking like super collider
Yeah.
engine, but all of a sudden it's like becoming like archaic and rusted and copper.
There's more pipes,
and there's pipes
fucking-
and
Yeah.
fucking
Clearly
all sorts
steam,
of-
'cause it's
and all sorts of
steampunk.
people around dressed in Victorian
Clearly
outfits,
steam.
and it's just delighting me.
I know, I want it.
I love
God
it.
damn.
I love it.
I love
Oh.
you guys.
Thank you all so very much for joining us. The Cryptonaut Podcast, patreon.com/Cryptonaut Podcast. Thank you to everyone that supports us there. If you are interested in checking that out, the $1 will get you 1 bonus audio and access to the Discord. The $5 will get you no more than 4 bonus audios and access to the Discord.
Except maybe 7.
Except sometimes 8. You never know. It happens. We'll see. Sometimes we get crazy on
There's
Patreon.
a lot of Patreon episodes.
There's a ton.
If
of
you've
Patreon
never been on
episodes.
Patreon and you want to hear more of us being even fucking weirder,
Yeah, there's a ton of.
Go.
There's over 100 there, so be sure to check that out. Oh, the social medias, the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks, where we're hanging out. Send us the DMs. Thank you to everyone that gets a hold of us. The Facebook fan group, you can check that out as well. There's a nice little community set up for you there. The hellerspace.com, we have the merch. You can always grab your t-shirts and your bags and your totes and whatever you got to get there. You can always go check that out. Super cool. Thank you to everyone that purchases stuff. Be sure to put those pictures online, tag us, and we'll be sure to, repost them in the stories and whatnot, which is always super cool.
Heck yeah.
And, I blew through the ending of that real quick.
Yeah, you did.
You fucking nailed it.
I nailed it. Wow,
Yeah, that's like professionalism.
Yeah, damn. That was like super
done.
easy. All right. Well, hell, there you have it. Thank you all so very much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Wow.
Wow. Man, we really wrapped that up.
Tight.
That was extraordinarily tight.
Yeah, you did. You did great.
All right, thank you.
You put the bow on this motherfucker.
There it is.
Like professional.
Yeah.
There it is.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Christopher.
Special guest. Couldn't done it without you.
Thanks for having me. Solve all your problems every fucking week. all your problems. Everyone got diarrhea?
Yeah, whatever.
Call Chris.
Call Mark, actually.
No.
He's the shit master, not me. Shitlord.
Shitlord stores. I was actually on Shitlord duty today when I saw Chris. I was coming back from unplugging his shit pump, as a matter of fact.
Hey.
I'm walking downtown and it was like it already passed me. I hear, hey. I'm like, I just happened. It took me a second because you're in your bright orange fucking.
And
I was like, what the fuck? I
my
was like,
city
oh, it's
vehicle.
Dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta go home.
Yeah, there you go. And just like, hey, buddy. Want to go help me unplug some shit pumps that are clogged with rags?
No.
Wipes clog pipes, people.
Yeah, we know.
And you fucked my Monday up.
Wow.
Not you guys specifically, but someone in town did.
Wow. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that to you.
Thank you all so very much. Talking to you soon.
Bye.
Good Lord.